Welcome, everybody. It's another edition of Friedman Adventures. I'm Phil Friedman, and I have two really special guests here with me today. Nick Morua. Nick, welcome.
Hey, thank you.
What's
Thanks
happening,
for
man?
having
Good
me.
to see you. And Captain Eddie Leland. Eddie, it's great to have you here.
Nice to be here, Phil.
Man, I'll tell you, in your life, and sometimes this can happen many times in your life, you come to that fork in the road where you can go the right way or you can go the wrong way. Nick, you went the wrong way early in life. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how bad it got?
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town. Actually, it's 9/10 of a square mile, city of Hawaiian Gardens, actually. And my neighborhood was really rough, right? And
define that a little bit more for us.
Well,
Drugs,
gang activity, a lot of gang violence, multiple drive-by shootings throughout the day. Could be morning, could be afternoon, broad daylight, or night.
Not Leave It to Beaver style family life.
No,
Yeah,
exactly.
okay.
So, in me having to go through all that, kind of had to find my own way. Go ahead.
I was going to say, your family life, did you have support there or not?
Yeah, family's alive. However, my mother and father, they divorced when I was 3 years old.
Okay.
So I had to kind of lean on multiple gentlemen to be father figures in my life. So uncles, older brothers, However, my dad was still in my life. Is a great dad. Just didn't have the everyday dad, like some people do. And most
Understood. Now, did you get into the gang life or the drugs, or did you
never
find yourself falling into that?
Yeah, never got into the whole gang life. However, it was around, so it kind of, it drew the attention to fill certain voids, right? And so went the wrong way, hit the fork in the road, went the wrong way, got into a little bit of trouble, and ended up getting put on juvenile probation. And my probation officer was a half Japanese, half white guy by the name of Bruce Sakamoto. Perfect example of what a coach and what a mentor should be, not so much a probation officer.
Wow, that's great that you ran into a guy like that.
Yeah, and
So you really felt like he cared for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what he did is he went to my home, talked to my mother, got a waiver signed, and said, "I'm going to start taking your son on some fishing trips." Now, this was my first ever experience in long range. Okay.
He was taking you on long range trips.
Long range trips. Yeah.
Like 8-day trips.
3, 4, 5, and 8-day trips.
Boy, this guy was not effing around.
Yeah.
He wasn't taking you on the half-day boat out of Redondo.
Not a half-day boat.
Jeez.
Not even the barge, huh?
Not
Yeah,
even the barge.
really?
Not even the barge. However, when it came to me doing things on my own, of course, as a juvenile, I hit the workforce at a very young age, and I was taught by my uncles and my grandfather what it really took to be a hardworking man. I remember my grandfather bringing these huge cinder blocks home in his truck, and he said, "You want to make some money?" I said, "Yeah, let's do it." He said, "I'm going to pay you 10 cents each block you chip the concrete off of." So you got to be real careful, right?
Yeah.
Because if you went too hard with the chisel, you're going to break the block.
Yeah.
And that's not what he wanted. And if you broke the block, you didn't get paid the 10 cents, So so that was that. And then so my next door neighbor, Brandon Martinez, he's a best friend of mine. He said, you got to come fishing with us sometime. I said, fishing? Like, who the hell does fishing?
Yeah.
And I remember him letting me borrow just a freshwater, I think it was a Shakespeare combo that he got like from Kmart or something like that, and we were doing like the bait and weight thing, night crawlers, mealworms, marshmallows, and he said,
You're fishing at local lakes or something, or what?
He said, "We're gonna ride our bikes."
Oh.
I said, "A bike? Like, I don't even have a bike.
Yeah.
I don't even own a bike."
Yeah.
"Oh, don't worry about it. You could borrow one of ours." So we rode down to El Dorado Park, Long Beach, right? So lay the bike down right on the shore, set the rod, kind of like in the spokes. We didn't have rod holders back then either, right? Couldn't afford none of that stuff, okay? Now, mind you, I come from growing up on government cheese and peanut butter and powdered milk. You had to add water to make it milk, okay?
Yeah.
So we're fishing night crawlers, and wham, I get bit. Hook up a nice bass. Now, what ended up happening there was I started watching a bunch of people that were fishing the lake, and I would see people just walk right by us and cast by us like if we were, set up here like we are now, 10 feet down the way. People were casting, but they were constantly moving, right? So as I watched, I said, what am I doing just sitting here, Well, these people that were constantly moving and working the lakes were obviously using artificial lures. They weren't using live bait.
Yeah.
So I inquired with this gentleman by the name of Frank Garza, and I said, "What is it that you're throwing?" He goes, "Oh, it's just a little double head, or it's just a little spaghetti worm." Okay. And I said, "Well, you mind if I could use one?" He goes, "No." He reaches into his fishing vest, and he's got like bulks of 20 and 50 packs. So he hands me one, and as I'm sitting there, I'm eating a sandwich, and I'm rigging up. And he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm having lunch." He goes, "No, you're not. Put your food away." I said, "Why do you want me to put my food away?" He said, "Because the minute you stop fishing is the minute the big fish swims right by you." I said, "Holy smokes." I said, "You're probably right." So I put my food away, threw it back in the backpack, started twitching a little artificial lure on the bottom, and here we go, a 6.5-pound largemouth.
Wow.
Out of Eldorado.
Prophetic, huh? You would called it.
And from that point on, really started honing in skills and learning the whole artificial lure thing for largemouth bass, right? And then Frank Garza one day says, "I'm going to head out." And I said, "Well, where are you going?" He said, "I'm going to go fish Harbor Regional out here in San Pedro," right? I said, "Well, that's far, He said, "Well, I can drop you off at the house if you want." So we developed, as adolescents and teens, we developed a relationship with these real genuine people out on the water, right? That seen us there constantly and seen that we had a heart for what we were doing.
Yeah.
So
and it sounds to me like you were kind of discovering your moral compass, starting to get back online, right?
Right.
Discovering what's important in life, work ethic.
Yeah, and meantime, mind you, I'm on probation this whole time, right? And so what I did is I said, there's got to be a 180 here. I gotta turn my life around, right? So I had a friend that I went to junior high and high school with, and his name was Tommy. Okay, and he would constantly bug me to go out on the boat.
What was Tommy's last name?
He's like Hawaiian Filipino. It was a weird.
You know the guy?
It was a difficult last name.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is he a cool guy?
Yeah.
So he used to constantly bug me to go out on the boat. I'm like, boat, like ocean, like I thought it was like all I was exposed to was long range at the time. Okay.
God, what a problem.
And I thought this whole time was like, well, okay, you mean they'll fish local, like around here? He's like, yeah, just come on out, I work on the boats. So finally I said, all right, I'm going to give it a shot. Saved up a few bucks and bought myself a Kmart Penn Special. Those short, stiff, white Penn rods with a little cheapy Penn reel, right? It wasn't even a jig master. It just looked like one, right? So started using that out on the boat. Now that's when I met Leland, okay? During that time, once I started getting out, and Tommy's like, just come out. So I used to wake my uncle up. I used to bug him to drop me off, give me a ride to the bus stop, and I would pay my fare and catch the 42A, the Orange County Transit. It would shoot me all the way down Norwalk Boulevard, and then it would drop me off right in front of the pier. Well, the timing was so tight that I would have to literally run down to the end of the pier before Eddie launched. Okay.
He wasn't going to wait for you, was he?
He wasn't going to wait for me. As a matter of fact, if I said, "Oh, hold on, I left my bag on the pier," you know, or up in the office, he's like, screw it, you know, we're gonna leave without it. We're gone. What Eddie taught me at that time, and he probably doesn't know it, was punctuality. He was very fair, but he was by the book, and that's what he taught me growing up. You know, on as I started pinheading and as I started decking.
And those are lessons that have carried you through to where you are now today, right? You have a great family life. You've started to climb up the ladder at work.
Started to climb up the ladder at work. And when I was working the boats and pinheading and decking, I started climbing the ladder there too. Started on the City of Seal, followed Eddie, went and worked on the Enterprise. Came to Long Beach, started working on the El Dorado with Eddie Moreno. Also worked with Sean Morgan, and a bunch of other captains. The list goes on and on. But as I was exposed to San Diego by working on the El Dorado, because we would go out there and fish the tuna runs, started, you know, working on the bigger boats. Now, mind you, during this whole time, at 16 years old, I also had my first son, Nicholas Jr.
Wow.
So, you know, I was, I guess what today you would call a rod whore. I used to collect a bunch of different rods. And as I started to grow in the industry and I started to see and learn and watch other people that were coaching and mentoring me along the way, I started to realize what was good and what worked well, you know. So I started collecting like old Roddies, old True Lines, old Sabres and Seekers, you know. And then I hit a rough patch in my life, right, in between jobs and stuff like that. And I had to dump probably 90% of all my saltwater stuff. Mm-hmm. And what that taught me throughout life was, you know, you put your family first. It taught, and that came from the captains because they were already grown. They already had their own families. And I learned what it took to really provide, right? I put my family first and said, hey, I don't have much right now, but I can do much with what I do have. So I started selling my equipment to put diapers on my kid's butt and food in his mouth.
Wow, 16-year-old father, that is unfreaking believable.
Yes.
I mean, I had Philip when I was 32, I think, and you know, that was a learning experience for me. 16, that is just brutal, huh?
I can't even read myself at 16.
Yeah.
Really?
I remember getting a driver's license when I was 16.
Yeah, paranoid,
and saying to
scared to
myself, they are really fucking up giving me this.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
are stupid
right?
because I'm freaking crazy, you know.
Well, when you get it, you're like, man, what am I going to do now? I'm going to get lost.
Yeah,
There's no
right.
GPS. There's no computers. I'm going to
Right.
get there.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly.
I remember borrowing my mom's Camaro. It was a 1970 split bumper Super Sport, and her fiance at that time had gave it to her, and it had a 383 stroker. It was souped up, right? 383 stroker, and I'm like, I'm borrowing her Camaro to take my wife to her doctor visits while she was pregnant, you know. And I'm telling myself, you know, and this is even before I had my permit. I was actually on a permit, hadn't had my license yet. But I'm like, I'm going to see what this Camaro's made of. You know, I was smoking the tires in the turning lane and started fishtailing. That was the first year they came out with the Rally Sport.
Oh, my God.
You know? So
let me get Eddie in here for one second.
Absolutely.
And Eddie, how's that make you feel, man?
It makes me feel pretty good. I never,
damn right, right?
I never
'Cause-
even realized, you know, that I had any kind of potential to help somebody.
Yeah,
grow.
because I mean, you're in a business that you love. You
Yeah.
love to go fishing, and
Yeah.
but you didn't realize how you affected this guy.
And you know, a lot of times you think you're too tough on a certain kid and you're too mean, and then they'll come back to you and tell this story. You know, it's amazing.
Have you had other people tell you those stories?
Yeah, there's been some. You know, there's been like pretty much all my deckhands eventually.
Were you rough on him?
Yeah.
How
there's
were
no
you
doubt.
rough on him? Give me an
Well,
example.
Like you said, I would not permit if you're late, you got a couple shots and then you're done. I don't have time for you.
Yeah.
But you could come back to me, and then we'll negotiate.
In a few months?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because you have a legitimate reason. There's a good thing. You know, and then how you treat people. That's the most important thing. If you don't treat my passengers nice, you know, you're not gonna. And the areas that we were fishing, like Seal Beach and Belmont, we were considered the lower grade fishermen. We weren't the good guys.
We weren't the showboaters.
Yeah, we weren't.
What are you talking about? Like the San Diego
the hot
fleet?
sticks? No, well, like the like 22nd Street landings and ports of call. Well, we got all the hot sticks. We got 40 guys and we put on 200 yellowtail. Where Seal Beach is 50 or 60, but when we smoked them, man, they sure let us know about it.
Oh, hell yeah, hell yeah. Let's go back to where you started. Where did you start? You started in Redondo?
I started in Redondo.
That's where I started.
I started in Redondo Beach, and my dad, my mentor, you want to work, son. You want to go fishing. I got the bug in fishing probably when I was 4 or 5 that I can remember.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah. And mine was at Big Bear and then King Harbor.
Mine was looking through like the pilings on the Mondstadt Pier and seeing those piling perch.
Yeah, well, I love fishing all the piers.
Huntington,
Humrosa, Manhattan, Redondo. You caught the halibut, but Bonita, Manhattan, and the perch at Hermosa Pier.
Yeah.
And then my dad said, well, if you want to pay for this sport, you need to go get a job. And my dad was a real good friend of Jerry Purcell and Gary Umplum.
Yeah.
And they said, how old is he? He's 12. Well, you got to get a special permit for that, so no problem. So that summer, I'm working on the barge. I had to be at the barge, and I had to ride my bicycle. I had to be at the barge at 6 a.m. So I had to leave my house.
What barge was that, by the way?
California? That was the California 1 and the Seacoaster.
Okay.
And
out of Redondo.
Out of Redondo, yeah. So I got the job, and then I had to be there every weekend. My dad says, you're gonna have to get your way down there, So for a couple of weeks, I rode my bike, but then I got to know my barge master, Kenny Englehart, and I said, if I pay you like $5 a week, can I get a ride?
Yeah,
no problem. He came from Santa Monica, picked me up at Manhattan Beach, and then we drove to there.
And part of that was because you were such a steady employee, right?
Yeah, he loved having me on the boat, and then we tackled every single job that was on there. On the barge, 250 feet long.
How many people at a time?
We would have anywhere from 100 to 200 people when the peak season.
And how many deckhands?
2 guys.
For 200 people?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Well, basically, you're kind of a floating pier, but it's still, a lot to do,
Yeah.
And they had us out there, we'd be running the generator, 671 generator, running fire hoses when everybody got off. We used an actual fire hose to rinse down the whole barge, 250-foot barge.
That's amazing.
And then it just went on from there, And then,
did you catch any fish of any significance? I mean, did you just catch bullshit, or did
in the day barge fishing, no one had any idea how good it was,
Yep.
The typical barge day, when I first started working on the barge, you worked for tips. So you'd clean a limit of groupers and Johnny Bass and whatever, guy give you $1.
To clean a limit?
A gunny sack. No, the limits were different in those days.
Okay, there was no.
But how many, salmon groupers and Johnny Bass can you put in a gunny sack?
Shit, I'm guessing like 60?
Well, probably 30.
Yeah.
20,
Depends
30.
on how big they are, obviously.
And then, like Bonita, we catch, on average, you catch the 5 to 6, 7 pound Bonita. And then it just went on. So I came up with this brilliant idea. So, okay, now we're going to start, because a tip could be 50 cents. It could be a quarter.
It was up to the guy.
It was up to the guy.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, 10 cents a fish. And I'll be a son of a gun. The next year, the sable fish moved in. I don't know if you know what the sables are.
Black cod like?
We caught limits of sables for 3 months, night and day. They would have a special run at night because the barge was so full.
I remember those days.
That they'd run out every hour on the half hour from 7 till 5, and then at 6 o'clock the barge run would start, and it would run 6 to midnight. But because there were so many fish to be caught, you get your limits of fish, and then they'd send out 20 more people and take 20 off. So it'd be a constant count to get people on there. And that barge was full. We had 200 people on there.
What kind of money were you making as a kid? You're 12 years old at this time?
No, at that time, I think I was 13 or 14. I kind of made it up because I started working on the other boats when I was 16.
Yeah.
Right on that edge right there. But my pockets were full of money.
It's a freaking dream come true, man. 200 people.
All the time. And they would tip you change, too, so pockets would get heavy.
Yeah, a lot of times. And then there was a midnight hour, too, the midnight hour special.
Yeah.
I worked with Gordy King, and he refused to cut fish after 4 because you had a 4-hour, 5-hour period. So And Leland, being the businessman he is, for 20 cents a fish, I can get all the fish you want.
Oh, jeez.
And the other guy, well, what if we give you 50 cents a fish? You know, so it's always something like that.
Yeah.
So you'd have your special people like and man, you're cutting fish as fast as you can. And those sables, I mean, some of those sables were like 10-pounders.
Oh my God, they were that big?
Yeah.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah,
Man. I remember,
you caught them top to bottom. There was guys fishing bass worms, you know, the bass worms.
Yep.
And then there was guys on the bottom fishing, 8-ounce sinker with 2 giant hooks on there with like a slab.
That was
on
me.
it.
Yeah,
They were
because
thick. You couldn't get past them.
You couldn't get past them.
We like mackerel in the day.
We catch some bonita, but they didn't even chase out the bonita. And then, the first time I went on a big boat, and I see this big old white sea bass, a 50-pound sea bass, I go, man, that's the biggest sable fish I ever seen. and the captain goes, you idiot, that ain't no sable. That's a sea bass. And then, but it's funny when everybody tells their story, like when you told your story, that first moment when it clicks that I like to fish. And that was my saying. You have plenty of time to sleep. You have plenty of time to eat. They're biting fish now. You're going to lose.
Just that same thing that you learned to delay.
When he said that, it just clicked. And I talked about it to my friends today. Like, we went fishing. I've been fishing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And
you went to Nick here recently.
Yeah, so we're fishing these whitefish. And they're all like, 5-6 pound whitefish on a slide sinker and a big hook, and a whole squid.
Yeah.
And, you set the hook and coop. It's just a whitefish, damn little 10-pound whitefish. We'll bring it in.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so bitchin'.
But it's that thing. It's like everybody I tell about fishing, I says, dude, you're blowing it, man. It's like when that computer thing pops up there real quick. If you don't get it now, it's gone. Then you've lost it. It's over with. And then you're going, what happened? And then we caught some yellowtail too, and one of my buddies hooked up with one, and then everybody's like, tying a new hook on it. You're a little late for that now, so I throw my bait right there and hang one.
My son Philip, he's off camera and not on mic, but that's him.
Yeah.
He never misses a moment.
And then
he's fishing 24/7.
And then you got to do something different. You got to try different stuff. Don't be afraid. But don't be afraid to fish bait either. I mean,
right.
You got to
Tommy Rothery on the Polaris Supreme, he said that when they were catching wahoo, it was like the wahoo would get used to what you were doing, and they'd kind of go off the bite, and he'd go down there and try something different and hang one. And then he'd tell everybody, hey, switch to the yo-yo or whatever.
Simply a different color, simply a different technique. Another technique that I really had forgotten about is pump bait. Yellowtail, like at Nicholas and stuff.
We used to do that a lot for barracuda, right?
And pump it. They like that moving.
Yeah.
Or go like this, wind real fast and take it out of gear. And Bob, he says, that bullshit, that doesn't work, And then today, he goes, God, I got bit on the craig. I said, wow, amazing, huh?
Yeah.
And then, and other things too is when you're fishing, pay attention, especially yellowtail. We got time for one good story?
We got time for lots of good stories.
We're fishing.
Get rolling, baby.
Last year, I was on my boat that I fish all the time. It's a boat called the Fresh One. It's almost a 40-footer, not
with
quite.
Phil, right?
No, with this is with Bob.
Oh, okay.
Bob Elliott. So we're fishing Catalina, and we were there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And my deal is have some patience, but don't be stupid. Don't stay there forever.
Right, don't waste time.
So we're fishing. We made our squid. We caught this. We caught that. We got bit at night, and I caught a sea bass. We caught a couple yellowtail, then nothing. And then you fish the rest of the day catching bass and whatever, dude. Come back, do it again. But the third day, we barely got a Friday, and then all of Saturday, and then the third day, Sunday, we're there, right? And we're fishing over by the backside by the V's. And, I'm like, I got a full tank of squid, and these fuckers are just going to, excuse that, but they're just going to freeze it, and I'm tired of this shit.
Yeah.
It's like, I know there's fish here. So I walk up to the bow. I tell Bob, I said, because it's 6:30, and we got to get out of there by 7. He wants to move. And it was 6 o'clock. So I'm looking, I'm watching. I see a bird flutter like that, bird flutter like that. And then I
dipping at the water?
Dipping at the water.
Yeah.
Dipping out, and they're getting real nervous. They're getting real shaky.
Yeah.
When they dip and they shake,
yeah.
It's like a dog when he's So I go up to the bow. I go, Bob, give me 10 more minutes. Let me stay here and stuff.
You're begging him, right?
I'm just begging. I'm saying I feel it this time, and every once in a while you get that feeling, and you go with the gut. So I go at the bow. I launch one off the bow. I go on the side. I launch one off the side. He goes, what are you doing with all our bait? I go, just trust me on this. He said, we're leaving here in 10 minutes. I don't care what you say. So I brought one off the stern. And we have 5 guys on the boat. And I look off to the side, and I see like 25 yellowtail, all 15 to 25, 30 pounds.
Oh, man.
And you know how they You know how they roll and they're just tearing up that squid that I threw out there.
Wolf
You know,
packing.
and Sean Morgan, our famous saying is bent over like an umbrella.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
That's his famous saying.
Yeah.
We got 5 rods in the rod holder. I got 2 rods in the rod holder. I've got 80-pound and 60-pound jig and squid with a Tatty 4.0 Superman jig, because I am Superman, you know. And all 5 guys get bit, and all rod holders are bit.
Bent over like an umbrella.
Yeah, and I've got my bait net in my hand, and I'm holding my rod, you know, while I'm, you know, because I can't miss a minute, you know. 2 guys hand me their rods. So I got 3 rods in my hand. My 2 other rods are in the rail going like this, like that, like that.
Yeah.
So I put them between my legs, and I take a crank, and I maneuver that one, maneuver that one. They wind up to where I can get a gaff, and you hold the other rod, then I gaff that one, so we get 1. We got 8 of the 10 fish, and I got 3 of mine, and I wasn't even holding my rods.
Oh my God.
It was incredible.
What a memory.
But the thing is too is like, pay attention, and you're gonna catch fish, and just pay attention.
That's the lesson you learned from that guy, right?
But I think it's like life too. Just pay attention. Don't be a dumb shit. Don't be an idiot. Don't be stupid. Don't cry. Have everybody do your own job, and you'll be fine.
Eddie, I mean, you tied that into life, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, you can learn lessons in fishing that are applicable to a healthy and good life, right?
And my mentor was Joe Schilling, and he kicked my ass. We kicked each other ass.
Same with me.
And I actually took him out of service for a while. You know, I'm a wrestler, and
Yeah, you were a college wrestler, right?
yes, so we're you know, typical, like most skippers and deckhands have that moment where they're just tired of their shit.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And he's right, I'm wrong. He's right. I don't know what it is, but we're in the wheelhouse, and then we walk our way down the galley. I go, dude, you're punching me in the kidneys. It hurts. Stop. What do you tell me what to do? And he goes to grab me, and I flip him right on his back. Worst thing I ever could have done. He's out for 2 months.
Oh, shit.
Screwed up back.
Oh, my God.
And the skipper that replaced him, we never caught another fish after that day.
Really?
Oh, it sucked.
Was that the mascot for?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
And you know the skipper that used to be on the Rinaldo Special?
Are you talking
Hewlett.
about JF? Oh, Hewlett, yeah. I worked for Barney for years.
Hewlett's relief skipper.
Was
The
it?
guy with the glasses. Can't remember his name right now.
Can I say? Should I say his name?
Yeah.
Jerry Fuller?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So I used to keep records of every day I went fishing, right?
Yep.
So this is rock cod season. We're fishing the volcano.
Is Jerry Fuller going to come and kick our ass or something?
I wish he'd try. He can't. But Schilling, I'm like, okay,
We
Monday.
got a few young guns here. It's all right.
Monday,
Bring 'em.
limits of reds. Tuesday, limits of groupers. Thursday, limits of bank perch. Fuller gets on the boat. We're going to places like Malibu that suck. It's terrible fishing, you know. And we had one day. One day we got limits out of the 2 months he was there.
Yeah.
First day, Schilling comes back. Hey Ed, I got a couple days off. Thanks, man. And he comes back. Limits of 10-pound groupers on Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, God.
We used to have a group of Koreans. That
Did you go out to Volcanic?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A million times.
I fished on that. Yeah, hell yeah, on the Mascot Fort, because that was a 3/4 day boat,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
That was my boat in those days.
Yeah, I remember
and then
that.
when they sold, the day we got fired, the owner of the landing says, "You guys are now not working on this boat anymore." Didn't even give us a decency of a last paycheck.
Who was that? It wasn't Terry Turk, was it?
It was
before him.
It was he was an actor's name.
Yeah, Gordon McRae.
Gordon McRae.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you're good, man. I think I got your
Yeah,
memory.
yeah.
But he writes us a note. You guys will no longer be working for us because you showed you made profit on your fishing vessel. We were supposed to show a loss so we could keep the boat.
Oh, sorry.
And then you know where that boat went?
Where?
Wow.
Right to USC. It's a research boat.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. The research
Brutal.
boat. Yeah.
Philip's favorite college, USC.
So you guys made the profit, then he sold the boat to USC.
Yeah,
and
because
he made
we
a profit.
weren't supposed to turn a profit because a 3/4 day boat had a real tough time making a profit at
And
that landing.
I know Eddie's sick and tired of this story, but I do want us to tell it one
Okay,
more
tell
time.
the story.
Mascot, you worked 3 months straight,
not a day
90
off.
days. No
Never got
days
off the bait tank. I was on probation. You got to chum every single time, everywhere
That
we
was
go.
Schilling, Joe Schilling.
Yeah, and you know, like when you're gaffing bluefin, I'm a good gaffer too. You know, that just it crushes your heart.
And I was like,
I jump down on the tank and gaff a fish real quick, and I'd throw a couple baits. You know, what the heck are you doing? Get on that bait
I
tank!
know, I
and
know.
he'd yell at me in front of like 70 people.
yeah, I know. And
You
you're
know?
a young kid,
Yeah.
and yeah. So I'm young. I was 14 maybe or some
Yep.
shit like that. And Joe came over to the Redondo specialist. What are you doing tomorrow? And I go, I don't know. And he goes, can you work? Said, yeah, my deckhand's burned out or whatever. And that was the day we poked our nose literally outside of the Redondo Harbor, right over near the Topaz Rock Jetty. We are talking a 3-minute freaking run.
Right where you could see the people body surfing and swimming.
And you could see breezers of bluefin tuna.
He trapped 3, I know the story better than you do. He trapped 3 schools of breathers from the beach to the thing. And I think you get, the water was shallow, right? You were in really super shallow water?
Super shallow water. And Joe's like, so, I mean, I'm throwing, he goes, brail it. So half of the brail, of course, is going on the passengers because I wasn't the greatest. I'm trying to throw this shit overboard.
Great job, Phil.
I'm just freaking raining on all the passengers. But the little bit of bait that did make it into the water, just fish blowing up on it. And all of a sudden, talk about being bent like an umbrella. We had 100+ on the 30 to 40 pound
117 bluefin tuna
on a 3. Yeah, that's what it was. God, you do know it better than me,
dude. This story, it breaks my heart. It kills me. Yeah, I worked on.
How weird is that you and I are connected that way?
Like when you said that story I said, man, I don't believe that.
Yeah,
I wonder who that guy was.
I was telling that story, and we didn't know you were the guy. I didn't know that. And
you didn't finish the other side of the story though. You only caught like 70 fish or 65 fish on the first stop. And then you guys bowed the Redondo special.
Oh, shit. And that turned
Noni
into
was on the bait tank, I think. They had a chick on the bait tank. She's throwing one at a time.
That was Tony Cuesta's daughter.
Yeah. No, Tony Cuesta's sister.
Right. Well, Tony was his father. His name was Tony, too.
Well, I mean,
the Galley guy.
I got you. Yeah. I didn't know that boat that well. Yeah. So the trick in chumming, though, when you're fishing bluefin, if the current's going downhill, you got to rip that bait. Rip it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you can pick a passenger. You want to catch a fish?
Throw it
right
here.
There. Wait. Okay, throw it. Boom. And you could feed a fish to a guy. And the bluefin have a special way of boiling it. It's just like when the shooting gallery, or anybody know what a shooting gallery is? When the thing pops up like that, that's what they do. They pop up like that, and their tail goes out, and it's a wide fork, a different kind of fork.
It's
bubble.
A swirled out. It's a swirled out fork.
It's a swirled out bubble, then a rolling bubble. And then, like deckhands in our days, you had to tell the skipper, what was that? That's calico. And then it was all about this. You know what that one is? What kind of fish is that? What's that one? What's got a long nose? Barracuda. Barracuda. What's got a forked tail?
Yellowtail.
What do you make the most money on the fish in the old days that we used to catch? Surface fish. Calico bass.
Calico.
Money. So you do each one of those signals.
It's
Bonnet.
great. It's great that you mentioned. It's great that you mentioned that, Eddie, because I think certain species get into a rhythm of things kind of the same way because
people.
I remember standing at the bait tank and you handing me a brown bait.
Oh yeah.
When we're on a calico bite.
Big old bass like
and,
those,
and Eddie says, "Hey Nick, hey, you want to catch a big grumpy?" I'm like, well, yeah. Here, throw this one. Hands me a brown bait. Cast over here, and he had already chummed the won't. So I'm in the drift of the chum. Boom.
And every time it amazes you too when it happens. You can't believe it happens. And like we hear all these fish stories, I know for a fact I've caught sheephead over 25 pounds. Because in the old days we used to take them where we would weigh them, and then they get to stay at the the hotel there, and they visited there for a while.
Yeah.
So it's just like, when you hear these records, you're just like, come on, dude. And like I think the record sand bass is like 13 pounds. On the Enterprise, I caught a 10.5 pound sand bass on the LCI, and we put it in the bait tank because I wanted to show somebody and get a picture of it. Well, the damn sand bass ate all the freaking anchovies in the bait tank.
Really?
He ate there was about that much anchovies in the tank. He ate so many anchovies.
What did he weigh after that?
He weighed 14 pounds. But the thing was, I couldn't let him go because all the bladders from the anchovies, he'd float up like that. He'd wiggle his tail and float up, so we had to fly him. But I mean,
you filleted him?
Well, he was in the bait tank upside down from all the bladders of the anchovies.
Oh my God!
It was the weirdest thing,
Oh my God!
But it's so many things that happen like that. You just
speaking of and you're talking about sand bass. What about the old days? How much sand bass was there out here on the flats?
Goodness.
I got a good
all you wanted.
I got a good sand bass story.
Amazing.
When I first came here from Redondo, what happened to Redondo? I was gonna work on the city of Redondo. Then I went to college for about 3 or 4 months, and then I could wrestle, but I couldn't pass. I could pass the grades, but I couldn't wrestle.
Yeah.
Because like I went to El Camino, and it's like you just got your ass kicked for a solid 8 hours a day, and then you had to study. So I didn't make it. So I was going to come back to the City Redondo, and Jim Dante got my job.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was like, okay, so.
You had your captain's license now?
No, I didn't have it yet.
Okay.
So what happened was I was studying to get my license, and we had to go to San Francisco to get our license.
Right, I remember that.
And it was like a 2-month course and stuff, you know. So in between there, I got a job from Frank Hill from Roy Peters, told that, you know, we got a guy here you can work for, you know. So
Frank Hale here at 22nd Street?
No, Frank Hale at Seal Beach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he goes, if you can make it, you got a job, you know. And he says, do you have a license? I go, no, I'm studying for it. I didn't pass the first part. He says, but I says, I got a barge master's license. He says, how'd you get that? He says, well, I said, I gotta go home with something, you know. And it was funny. I took the barge master's test, and I aced that because I was on there all the time. But Gordy King, the guy that they had to get a license.
Yeah.
And he wrote up the test. He helped the Coast Guard write up that test. But I mean, we knew. I mean,
he gave you the cheat sheet or what?
Well, no, I just knew that everything that we had talked about.
Yeah.
Because you just need to know local knowledge of just around here close and stuff.
Yeah.
And we knew all that. You know, like you can name all the Channel Island stuff.
Yeah.
Because the skipper's license was way harder to pass.
Right.
But this one, like you could fail and that pass that other one. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
So the first day I get my license, I'm working on the barge out of Seal Beach, the Alaskan. And then 2 weeks later, I got my operator's license. And I was running the GW, the Enterprise, and the City of Seal Beach.
And what year is this, like, more or less?
77, I got my license.
What was sand bass fishing, barracuda fishing,
Sand
local?
bass fishing,
what was it like?
The problem, they had a problem with getting crews on the boat. So you were a deckhand one day and you're a captain the next. And sometimes a barge boat, you'd have to run the barge boat for a while, and then whatever you had to do. But we had a day, like I said, I'll tell you about, we're on the GW, I'm with Mike Reed, one of my super mentors.
Yeah.
Guy'd do anything for me.
Is Mike still okay?
Yeah.
Good.
He's getting old, but he's doing great.
Good.
But the thing about every one of those skippers, man, if you show them that you can be dependable, they'll lend you $50,000. They'll let you come stay at their house, whatever you need, man. But then you got to reciprocate. You know, you got to help them too.
You got to produce.
So we're out on the GW, and we got 68 people on the boat, and I'm by myself. I got a pinhead for help. And I'm trying to get through the jackpot as quick as I can. Just everybody sign it, put your name on your tag, and here's your money, here we go. Let's get done with this. So as I'm looking like I'm almost done with the jackpot, I look down on the water, and there is a school of sand bass that is probably twice the size of this whole counting net up on the surface. And I'm like, oh my God. So I run up to the wheelhouse real quick. I go, Mike, did you see that? Mike, did you see that? It's a school of sand bass. He goes, you're new. You know what you're talking about. I said, no, I know this. I see it. So there's a school of sand bass. I'd say they average probably, honestly, goodness, nothing under 2 pounds and fish up to 8 pounds.
Jeez. And you can walk on the damn thing.
You could walk on them. And we had 65 people on the boat, and I had just got a bunch of Mojo Lures from Kenny DeMung from the tackle store.
Yeah.
Because I always, coming from Redondo, you got to have your tackle.
Yeah.
So a Mojo is a soft scampi.
Butch Chapman used to make those.
Yes,
as
it's
I
a
remember.
soft scampi. And it's a 2-tail, and you fish just a normal lead head on there. And you know these guys are catching bass, and they're all like 2-pounders and stuff. I said, hey, we got a special deal today. You can get 3 Mojos for $5. Or you can get 2, or you can get 1 for $3.
Always the businessman.
So you get 1 for $3, and they're like, "Well, here's this $5," because you didn't have to keep making change. That was the trick.
Yeah.
And you know, guaranteed to bite. And it started out. We had like 2 or 3 guys who want to use them, and they're catching 5 and 6 pound bass every time. You know, because I go, you guys just keep the big ones now. Don't, if you have to measure it, throw it back. Don't even mess with it. You know?
Yeah.
Yep.
So we ended up pretty much everybody got a Mojo. And we had a good solid 5 pound average for 65 people on the boat.
Limits.
And we were done in 2 hours.
Wow.
Completely limits.
Unbelievable.
And
man.
then we weren't more than 40 minutes from the pier.
Jeez.
So then we went outside and fished barracuda on the Horseshoe, and we got barracuda on the Mojos too. We got another 100 barracuda.
Jeez.
Yeah. But just Sand bass fishing at Seal Beach in this day in Huntington was nothing I'd ever seen from any other place I've worked.
Yeah.
They would come in and, I mean, it was, you didn't know what to stop on. There were so many meter marks.
Really?
Yeah. And I'd seen areas of 400 boats, 500 boats, and everybody getting limits. You know, they didn't bite full bore every single day, but when they were ready, and, you know, that was the days where you get herrings and stuff, you know. So you get a lead head and put the biggest herring on it and throw it out. Yeah. And then fill up the trash can and go.
You know, I remember that same thing going, not so much, but up in Redondo, up north there, up in El Segundo, you catch those big ones, but not numerous like that. But you know where I did see those clouds of sand bass was Ensenada.
Yeah.
When you did you remember? Did you ever
by the bull ring?
Yeah, you'd be like fishing off the stern, and you look down in the frickin' water, it looked like an aquarium. There's like 200 bass swimming there, and you just drop your bait in front of them.
The GW was a boat too that was so low. The guardrail is in the water. You could step on the guardrail and then put your foot, and you're in the water. And that boat, they would just come up, and it's like. Like your Mojo would be down there 10 feet, 6 feet. And then we got to the Worm Kings and all those other jigs, and it was like, oh, my gosh, this is crazy.
God I remember doing the same thing you did with the Mojos with the Worm Kings. Me and Tommy used to do that with the Worm Kings, you know.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy Gutierrez is the one who got me those. But he was hooked up with Kenny.
He's over at Big Fish Bait and Tackle now.
Yeah. But he got me hooked up with, Kenny DeMung and stuff. That was all one big thing, you know. And
Butch Chapman, by the way, the guy that made the Mojo, he was a great guy. I love Butch. We fished a lot together back in the day.
I fished with Butch a lot, and then Iron Man too, the original Iron Man.
Dick Uranga.
Yeah,
great guys. Good memory, huh?
He went to you got everybody's name down. But I would go to his house in Redondo, his apartment, and he'd have his daughter there. Hey Ed, you better buy 1,000 today. And every time I buy 1,000 of them, I'd be back in like 2 months.
That's awesome.
And you know that number 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The 2 and the 4. Just deadly jig.
Yep.
Because the 4, I think, was the same size as a 6X Junior, and the 2 was like a peewee jig, or that little bit. And oh my gosh, yeah, the Barracuda eat that thing.
Oh my God, I
know.
He
was an innovator. He put a hurting on those guys.
My wife the other day, she was up in the loft, you know, and she's like, "Hey Nick, you got this white tub, this bunch of tackle in there, you know." So I'm digging through it, and I found an old school blue and white 4X Junior. Oh man, what a jam!
Yeah.
Teeth marks all over that thing.
Yep.
They couldn't stay off of that thing.
Love it. You said you had a couple of good halibut stories.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, when I was first working on the barge, that's when I learned how to gaff fish. And we had a day on the barge.
Well, because, I mean, geez, how high is that?
The barge was 16 feet off the water.
Yeah.
So we made a jig, or made a gaff out of like 8 inches, 6 inches around pole. And then we put a hook on there about like the size of a miniature flying gaff kind of hook on there. And the thing about halibut is you gaff them wrong, you're screwed. You're going to lose it.
Yeah.
So imagine trying to get this big pole up, hand over hand like that.
And
then bring it down and lift the fish on the boat. It was hard to do.
Yeah.
But one day I'm on the barge, and I'm working with this pinhead, another pinhead. We got him figured out how to do this stuff.
What is a pinhead, in case someone's listening and they don't know?
A pinhead's someone who goes out for free, is learning how to clean a boat, and he's working his way up to be a deckhand.
Right.
And we need more, but now I hear it's gone. You can't do it anymore
because
of insurance reason. But it's crazy because there's nothing better than hands-on training.
Right, exactly. That's what changed his life.
That's what got me where I'm at.
Yeah.
So one day, about 3 months before, we had to re-anchor all the barges and put them in position. They want to have 2 anchors, and the chain on each piece is that big around, and the anchor weighed like I think 1,000 pounds or 750 pounds. It's a big anchors off those big Navy ships and stuff, you know. So we're pulling this one anchor and getting ready to move it, and the thing you pull, it looks like a big old crane thing that you pull it up with, and you have a gear shift, you pull it up and stuff. Well, there's 3 lines on this thing, you know, and I'm like, oh, I know what those are, lobster traps.
Oh my God!
And we had a cook on the boat, you know, the lady, because she was cleaning up the galley and stuff, and all the guys from the island boats and stuff were out there, a crew of about 8 guys. We're getting everything going, and sure and behold, 2 lobster traps full of crabs. There was 80 crab in one trap and like 75 in the other one, and then the other trap was full of lobsters.
Oh my God!
Full to the brim, and I think that was there was like 45 or 50 lobster in there. They were just.
Oh my God!
So we pull up these traps. We eat the lobster. Nobody wants the crabs because I'm the only one that like the crabs in the day. So what we do is we bust off one crab,
pincher. Yeah, and throw
them back.
Yeah,
because they grow it
back.
And then you keep it moving. Right?
Yeah,
and it was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So 3 months later, I've got my crab trap, and that's where the people come out in the boat ride boat and they'll adopt your crabs, you know, and we'd be done with all our adoptions after the third boat ride, you know, because the barge would come out, the boat ride boat would come out every hour and a half hour, and people exclusively wanted to adopt our crabs, you know, so we do that, and then so one day I said, well, I can't keep my lobster trap out there because it'll tangle everybody, you know. But we could have a crab trap, and people used to catch crabs off the barge too.
I did that a lot.
Yeah, you get a star trap.
Right,
the straps,
exactly.
It's shaped just like a star, right? And when it lands, it's down like that, and it's weighted. So it has a little eye where it pulls up each part of the star, and it traps what's in there. So one day, my pinhead's like, you need to pull the trap now. I go, what are you talking about? He says, yeah. So I'm pulling it. I can't pull it. I go, you're going to have to help me. So he'd grab a side, pull, and then because once it lifts up, it locks everything in there, right?
Yeah.
So I'm pulling, he's pulling, and then all of a sudden we get to the top, and he goes, what is that? I go, it's a halibut. 35-pound halibut in there.
In the trap?
In the trap.
Oh, my God.
My trap, I put mackerel in there. You know, I'd tie a mackerel to there, and instead of... So that's when we learned about fishing mackerel for halibut, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And that was back in the day. All these guys invented this, you know, now. And then someone told us about that in the 1800s and stuff, you know. So we get this 35-pound halibut. And then my introduction to being a deckhand, skipper Kenny Englehart takes my halibut, goes right up to the front. Never cleaned a fish in his life on the boat. He cleans it. I get half right here.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, should I say something? I got the other half. At least he left me the dark side, so I got the big pieces and stuff. Yeah, but here I am. I got a 35-pound halibut, and I'm worried about not getting all of it. You know?
Yeah, I know.
So that was really cool. And then the thing about when you gaff a halibut, and we learned the hard way, you have to gaff them in the pectoral fins right by the belly, or you're going to lose them. If you stick them in the head, you stick them in the body, stick them in the tail, they go ballistic. They'll go crazy. So I had I was the main gaffer on the halibut, you know. And then one day, Gordy...
Did you catch a lot of halibut on the barge?
Yeah, we would average 3 or 4, probably every second day total of 25 to 35-pound halibut. They're all the same size.
Wow.
And you'd always get them like they bite right in a row, boom, 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 boom. And it was just crazy, you know.
Bitchin' fish.
Bitchin' fish, you know.
Yeah.
And then one day, Gordy says, you don't know how to gaff a fish, right? So we got this halibut on the boat. I swear it's a 40-pounder, right? And I told him, I said, dude, you got to stick it in the belly. It's going to get away. I know what I'm doing, okay? So he gaffs it, gets it halfway up, boom, it falls off. About 20 minutes later...
He lost it?
He lost it.
Yeah.
About 20 minutes later, another guy catches the halibut, the same halibut. But he's on like a handy-dandy rig, those little teeny feather rigs you fish for bait.
Yeah.
Wow. Gordy gaffs it again, it gets off.
Same thing.
Same fish, because it had a hole in it. Oh. And then somebody else gets stuck on a jig and gets it. And he looks at me, he goes, gaff that thing. I gaff it right in the belly, we get on the boat. He says, I'm never saying another word, you know. We're going to do what you do.
Yeah, that is awesome.
So, I mean, it's a lesson you learn. And I learned that on the boats all the different times. Whenever there's a halibut, let me gaff it. Just take my word for it.
Yeah.
Because we've actually had halibut we've gaffed on the boat, put them in the gunny sack, and they flip back over the side. It's hooked on the hooks, and the halibut's gone. And the guy's looking at you. You lost my fish. I go, dude.
Yeah, where'd it go?
So the first thing you do is, once he's on the boat, bash his head in, or the tail. But I just bash the head in. When you just get like a 3-pound sinker, they're done. Yeah. And you'll know.
Wow. Did you ever fish the barges?
I fished the barges probably in the early 90s. That's when they kind of like went away after that.
And you know why the barges went away?
They sank.
Insurance, I'm guessing. Something like that?
Every single barge pretty much in our general area is all sunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know.
You mean Dipley sunk?
They said it was like we're going to create a natural habitat.
Yeah. And then nobody would no more insurance after the last one. I think the barge California was one of the last ones that sunk. And they actually sunk one of them in Pedro.
Yeah.
In that
Turner Reef.
Yeah. But no, that one right inside the harbor, they have a place where they sink a couple boats.
Oh, right. Who's the craziest captain you ever worked for or knew about? Dipley or
Yeah, Dipley.
Dipley?
I got a good
I got some good Dipley
story.
Let's hear it.
Well, we're fishing.
John Dipley, guy.
John Dipley.
We've talked about him on this show before. He was, what, 400 pounds?
I think he's a little bit more.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
He could kick you in the face. He was a fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't fight much, but man, when he did, it was all over.
Have you seen? Did you see
Yeah,
it?
Dipley and I got along real good. There's a lot of skippers like Gary Norby, all these fighters and stuff.
Yeah.
But we got along for some reason or something, you know.
You and Dipley?
Yeah.
I did too.
Because I used to go. I'd escort Dipley to the next bar, you know.
He turned into a whole different person when he got drunk, right?
When he started off drinking, a 6-pack of Michelob and Jack Daniels.
Right.
Then he go to the next place. It was out of control.
Yeah.
And
if anybody fucked with him,
nobody did it.
Yeah.
It was understood.
But he looks kind of. I mean,
he's a really nice guy. He's a gregarious individual, but don't turn him wrong.
Yeah.
But we're fishing on the what boat were we fishing on? The Mascot. No, we're fishing on the City Redondo.
Was he running the boat?
Yeah. He used to run a little bit.
I know.
He break everything he ran, but
I know.
So we're fishing at the beach over by Hermosa, and we're catching bluefin, yellowtail, barracuda, bonita, and sand bass.
Off Hermosa Beach.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right off the beach. It was
so
the
bitchin'.
craziest thing. So this one guy, you know, typical fishing with one of those cheap pen reels, you know, the 200. That's what the Surfmaster. Surfmaster. This guy's casting his line, and we're all fishing 12-pound, number 8 hooks, and the bluefin are probably 12 to 20. And he gets
and just so everybody knows, in those days we fished light line chovy.
Yep, light line
you had to
chovy.
know how to fly line a bait.
Yeah.
You know, had to pick a caught bait, and you had to use small hook and light line.
Well, I want to call a timeout. You said those days. We still do that. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you can get away with some heavy stuff on.
With Spectra and fluorocarbon, you get away with a lot of Merlin 2-speed reels.
Yeah,
but we're fishing with Penn 27s, 26s, 25s, the Penn 100, the Penn 200. Basically a squitter reel.
Yep.
So these guys all had, I got this metal spool now. It's great, you know. Cash line out. Ping.
Yeah, exactly.
This guy broke off like 4 tuna, getting bit like crazy, you know. And he goes up to John. He says, "John, can you fix my reel?"
Oh
and
my
I'm like,
God.
"Oh my God."
He didn't throw it over, did he?
That,
Sounds like he, yeah.
So he walks up to the guy. He goes, "Yeah, here, hand me your rod there." He unscrews it, takes it off the rod. "Here, hold your rod." Sets down the rod, looks at the reel, puts it on the deck, and he goes, "Bam, bam, bam, bam." And I swear, this reel looked like an aluminum can when he got done with it. And he goes, "I fixed it." And the guy goes, to me, "Are you going to pay for my reel?" I go, "I don't think so. I think you're pretty much done with that reel."
He's a hilarious guy.
Yeah.
I mean, the shit he did that was just unbelievable.
There was times he'd be running down the deck and his pants would fall off.
Oh, I know.
And it'd be like the biggest pair of whitey tighties I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't even know you could get those anymore.
You've got those at a tent store.
Yeah, but
parachute.
he was that guy, like, go ahead, do whatever you want, John.
But he was stronger than hell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember several times that we're working on something where he's tightening a wrench or something, and he'd break the pipe wrench or he'd break the bolt.
Yeah, exactly.
And not really lean into it hard.
Hey, times that you've had to jump in the water. Have you ever had to jump overboard to maybe save somebody or get a fish out of the kelp or anything like that?
I had one sea bass story with my buddy Phil Capriccio. We're fishing the backside of Catalina. I don't want to say the exact spot, but kind of near a V section.
Okay.
And I had caught 3 yellowtail on 25, and he can't believe it, you know. So he's throwing the iron. He throws the iron, and he catches something. He doesn't know what it is. And he's winding in. All of a sudden, it gets him right in the kelp. And I'm on top of the wheelhouse, and I'm looking. I'm going, man, I can get that fish. You know, I can get it because I've done it before. And he goes, "What are you talking about? Just stay in the boat." I go, "No, dude, I can get that." And then, like he's saying, "Don't do it." I dive over to the side. And this was when I was younger. But I didn't have any fins. And all I had, no wetsuit, just my shorts, and I had a mask. And I'm like, son of a gun, dude. I look down in the water, and this is no lie. Say this is a kelp patty right here, right? The stringer's up like this. The fish is like this. His body is pointed perfectly, not good for radio, but it's pointed his head directly into the dirt. And he's like right near the bottom of the stringer. And I come back up, and I go, and I don't know exactly how deep it was, but it's at the V, so I mean, it's not 10 feet deep.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see the bottom, and it was a clear clear day and stuff. I go down there. I go, Phil, it's a sea bass because we've been catching yellowtail. He goes, no way. He says, what do you want me to do? I said, I'm going to go back down. And I went back down again, and that son of a bitch moved to the other side, you know? So I said, okay, I'm going to get your ass this time. I know you can see behind, but you can't see in front. So I go back down the third time. I bear hug it like that, and all of a sudden, they're winding me in. And his kid is like holding onto the rod and stuff. He
Freaking
says,
incredible.
He goes, what do you want me to do? I said, well, don't gaff me, gaff the fish, you know. And it was an honest, probably 30 to 35 pound sea bass with the jig still in his mouth.
Oh my God, that is a great story. You never freaked out about jumping in the water like a shark or any of that stuff?
Well, that's one thing about Catalina. The backside is notorious for white sharks.
Yeah, right,
but
right.
At that moment, I was just so into it, and you know,
you're just
stoked. And I have a picture, and they actually wrote an article about it in the Press Telegram in one of those papers.
Jed wrote it or something?
Yeah, but the way they wrote it, you know, Ed Leland jumps off a 40-foot platform with a knife in his hand, you know, and cut through the water, you know, went 100 feet deep.
Well, that sounds like what happened, man.
But it was so funny. We got a picture, too, of me. I got my arms on he had a skipjack in them days. I got my arms on the back of the swim step, and I'm just smiling, you know. And they're all like, wow, I can't believe that.
That is freaking incredible. Yeah. Have you ever had a close call with a shark, like going in the water to do something to help somebody, or a mako shark showing up or anything like that?
Yeah, we had a time, actually a seal that really scared me the most. This other boat that I went fishing with today, the fresh one, we're fishing lobster, right, you know? And we're so intense that, hey, you better pay attention to them buoys over there, you know? Guess what happens? Line gets tangled on the propeller.
Oh, God.
And here I am, the oldest person out there, you know, and I'm like, you
got to go in the water.
You guys, like, dude, you're way younger than me, and you're a stud. And I never thought of the boat that I can't get back up again. I didn't think of that, you know. That's the after part of that story. So now it's like, don't be a dummy anymore, you know.
Right.
So pretty much, I think if I'm gonna get a boat now, I'm gonna have a wetsuit. I'm gonna have you know, the headgear and everything, and just pay attention. But I go down there, and the boat doesn't have a very big keel on it, but it's cold. You know, it's like we're at Catalina in the wintertime.
Yeah.
You know? And I get in the water, and I'm like, holy crap, man, it's cold in here, you know?
Yeah.
But we got to get the thing off because we're going to hit the island, right? So I go down there, and I look under there, and it's wrapped about 40 times underneath the prop there, underneath the wheel and stuff. I get down there, I can't cut it. It takes me about 35 minutes. I'm out of air. I can't breathe. I'm done, you know, I'm whipped. I get it off of there, and I go, yeah, I got it. Then all of a sudden, I feel freaking seal was like bite my ankle.
Oh my God!
Scared the living daylights out of me, and that's not long before that chick that got bit by the white shark at.
Yeah. Oh that's all you're thinking, is it?
But then he pops up. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Good, thank God it's a sea lion.
So I can't get out of the water. I can't get up. They have this ladder that doesn't work right. You know.
Why not? You can't get out because
I can't reach. You know, I just had my knees operated on. I couldn't. I couldn't bend my knees right. And the way their ladder was, you couldn't get an angle on it. So I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do? This is a Mike Reed story from before where I couldn't get back on the boat. So I go, what am I going to do? I said, get a tie-up line. What? Get a tie-up line. And just hold on to it on the rail, and I'll put my foot inside the loop. And then you guys just lean back and pull me up. So all I had to do was get like that much. Got me up on the boat, and then I'm like, oh, God. So then I'm so freaking cold, I have to take all my clothes off, put new clothes on, and just sit in the engine room for about 10 minutes.
Were you like hypothermia almost?
Yeah.
Really?
I could not quit shivering. It was the craziest thing.
That is crazy. Have you ever had a close call while you've been in the water or anything like that? Anything crazy like that?
I remember, no, not so much crazy, but it was kind of a really interesting experience. We were at the Guadalupe Islands, and, you know, notorious for sharks,
I ain't swimming there.
Lots of white sharks.
So,
by the way, let me just say one thing, because on a future podcast, we're going to have a guy named Al. I always butcher his last name, Schnipperschnoff, okay? But he's a diver.
Yeah.
And when he was a kid, he went to Guadalupe Island. His father was killed by a great white shark while he was watching this.
Oh, my gosh.
He's going to be on a future podcast, just to mention that. But go ahead.
So, call it crazy or what have you not, but full moon, right? And I jump off the boat and swim down 20 feet to the bottom, you know, and sit and
at the loop
and sit and look at the full moon glaring through the water.
Screw that.
Yeah. Too much can happen.
So I mean, as far as
were you drunk or anything, or
no,
you were totally good?
Sober. Yeah.
Wow. I was going to give you a pass if you were drunk.
I didn't get drunk very often.
Yeah, that's good.
So yeah,
I made
but
up
as
for
far
you 10
as
years ago.
Crazy experiences like that, Not really. It was more of a something that I wanted to experience, something that I wanted to enjoy.
But all these stories that Eddie's telling, I mean, this is part of how you get addicted to fishing, right? All these adventures.
I can't explain why I like to fish.
That's
I really can't. I can't tell you why.
You can't
But I can't tell you that I could ever stop.
Yeah.
Every single day when I go to work, I look up whatever fishing information I can get, and I got here.
Yeah, and guys like Eddie and Dave Dodge.
Yeah.
I mean, they are. Maybe you. I mean, I went to the frickin' El Dorado Park or something with Dave Dodge once.
Oh yeah.
And he is like looking and observing and figuring it out. Pretty soon he's catching trout. No one else is catching trout. And then there's a little Mexican family next to us. And we started helping them. He started, because I'm there like, you know, I just want to enjoy myself. But you guys are freaking like, man, I mean, you're dialed in.
When you're at a park too, and you're catching fish and somebody else isn't, it hurts. And
Yeah.
You just want to, what are you doing? And then you just show them, and it's like, I don't even need to catch another fish, and I'm watching you guys get fish. I'm having more fun. Like when we had the catfish, and you were showing everybody how to catch them.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like now it's fun.
Yeah, exactly.
'Cause I've caught plenty of trout, but if you're catching a trout that you haven't caught one before,
you know, I think it goes back to you know, and we could stay on salt. We could bounce back to fresh and salt, but you know, when I was learning the whole freshwater bass scene, there was a few mentors of mine, you know, that stepped in and said, hey, let me show you some things, try this technique, try that technique. And you know what I really learned from all of it is just putting it all together and coming up with your own technique.
Yeah.
You know, so when I first started fishing freshwater largemouth bass, Frank Garza was the first one that really approached me and handed me the soft plastics, got me into the whole plastic scene. Then there was another gentleman by the name of Kurt Williamson, and he taught me how to use like the pig and jigs, you know, top water and stuff like that. And then there was another gentleman by the name of Lawrence Alfaro. Lawrence Alfaro actually took interest in my capabilities of fishing largemouth as I learned and progressed, and he's the one that put me in front of Southern California bass contenders and stuff like that. At this time, I had just had my first son, and got voted on to the Shimano field advisory team.
Nice.
Because I wasn't 18 years old at the time. You had to be 18, but I got voted on by their board and their committee to start field advising for Shimano. And then got voted on to the Southern California bass contenders, started doing the whole freshwater tournament scene. And what I did at that time is took that application and applied it to the sand bass, applied it to the calico bass.
And how'd that work?
Oh, man, it was
like
crazy.
magic.
Like magic.
Yeah.
Well,
Like
my belief
magic.
is, though, if you're not fishing, you're not going to catch fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you're surf fishing, get bit.
Get bit.
By
Exactly.
being in tune with the ocean, the lake, it's get bit.
I totally agree with
And
that.
if you don't think you're going to get bit, you're not going to get bit.
Yep.
And if you're worried about losing a fish, quit fishing right now.
Swings are free. That's what Leland used to tell me that all the time. You know, swings are free.
If-
you ain't gonna strike out. You know. So we're speaking. You questioned us about the sand bass scene, right?
Yeah.
I remember fishing off of Seal Beach again. We were the underdogs,
Yeah.
right? Like Leland said. I remember going out and hitting the flats and just annihilating them. You know, they're full of pelagic red crabs. You know, and
reminds me of another story.
Leland's like, dude, there's so much red crabs in the water, like they're not gonna touch this stuff. Throw this bait. So threw that bait, twitched on the bottom, popped it. He talked about popping, right? We forgot about all that stuff, right? You know, the whole finesse thing, right? Today they call it what split you did it on a fluke, Phil, for halibut. Drop shot.
Drop shot,
They
right.
call it drop shot.
But drop shot-
My days in the Don Ivino days was like a split shot in a way, you know. And what we did is just tied off another little leader with a weight, you know, a teardrop weight on the side. Now there's special drop shotting weights for that.
Well,
you know.
They got to make money off it.
Yeah, they made up a new name, they redeveloped it, they recreated it, you know, but in our times it was completely different. We created that stuff and just didn't name it, you know.
Yeah.
We just fished it that way.
Yeah.
And it killed. So he was just talking to me about this trip that Eddie that you just went on to Nick, and you know, he was talking to me about tube baits. I'm like, Eddie, you know what I did? These tube baits nowadays, right? A smaller 1 to 2 ounce tube bait, $6.95. You know, you step up into the 2 ounce, they're $15-16 a pop, right? And I'm like, Eddie, you know what I did? I went online, right? Bought a bunch of 10 and 20 packs of Gets It. That's the original tube bait. You know, nobody else existed at that time. And I'm pinning my own lead heads in it. For practically nothing.
That's awesome.
You know?
That's a good tip for everybody.
So
some sponsors don't want to hear that, though.
That's right. So anyways, you know, we're gonna forget about something, and then, you know, 20 years, 30 years later, it's
what's old is new again.
Exactly.
You know, you bring it back.
Exactly.
You see that in all kinds of things in life, for
that's
sure.
The thing on fishing, though. Like, if you're downgrading some company, Daiwa, Shimano, whatever it is, then you don't understand what they do. And, you know, it's like everybody has, every company has something that you don't know about. It's like every fisherman. You can learn, and they give you what you want. I don't care what's the best at this. That ain't the best for that.
And the one thing I'll say about you that I've always been impressed with is your knowledge, as far as I'm concerned, is just so vast. You too, Nick. But you have always told me you will listen and learn from anybody.
Yes.
And I think that's a good key for life.
Yeah.
Also.
Well, you fluff off somebody because whatever, there's some nationality or something you don't agree with.
Yeah.
And then you watch that guy, you go, damn, that guy's walking down the jetty every single day with a bunch of fish. He ain't saying nothing to nobody.
Right.
He knows something.
Right.
I better pay attention to what's going on.
We were watching these Vietnamese guys sitting next to us the other day, and they were just railing on the spot fin croaker day after day. And I went over there. The guy's name was Peter. It couldn't have been a nicer gentleman, and he went through it all with me.
Yeah.
Cool guy, and I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Learned a lot.
So what was the magic trick then?
He was digging up sandworms.
Okay.
And that's how he was catching them.
Natural
and he
bait,
said,
natural bait, what was there?
And he said, you can go buy some worms, some other worms that just don't work. These sandworms.
The scent that's in that beach.
They were magic.
It's
man.
amazing.
Yeah, they were magic.
Matching the hatch.
You mentioned a second ago, Nick said something about red crabs, and you said you had a story.
Oh yeah, I was my other friend that I dove over with the sea bass with. We went to Vicente when it was legal on the backside, and
Point Vicente here off the Palos Verdes coast.
And the problem was it was blowing Santa Ana. But I go fishing all the time, and I know what happens. The Santa Ana usually burns out after midday.
Yep.
So we're fishing. I'm begging him. We gotta go fishing. We gotta go fishing because I seen a billion red crabs over here. You know. He's like, no, we can't go. I said, all we got to do is anchor in the backside of Vicente, and you're totally blocked from the wind. You know. So he finally goes out there, and we go up to this place, like right along the beach, and I go, okay, get me right next to the kill. And there was a billion red crabs. So I'm scooping them. I got 6 scoops, and I got the bait tank stuffed with them and stuff, you know. So I said, watch, I'll throw my red Mojo, and they're going to bite it, you know. And we're catching calico bass and sand bass. I said, they got to eat these things. So we put on a 2-hook Ganyan with like that hook with the barbs in the back, you know.
Yeah.
And we started out fishing.
Snelled hooks or whatever you call them.
Snelled hooks.
Yeah.
So we're fishing with 30. I hang a couple fish. I catch a sargo. I catch whitefish. I catch a sheephead. I catch a calico bass. I catch a sand bass. We must have caught every species, like rock wrasse, and we caught, God, just keep naming them, tree fish, Johnny bass, salmon grouper.
Sculpin.
And we're sculpin, cabezon. Just name every species that you know, every kind of perch, spotfin croaker, yellowfin croaker, carbinas. And we're fishing like about 50, 40 feet on this reef. And all of a sudden, man, smoke. Pow. Uh-oh. Okay, let's try 40-pound now. Now I get about a 20-pound sheephead and a 15-pound sheephead. And then like an 8-pound whitefish, you know, 40 feet of water. Stuff we never saw before.
Yeah.
And then boom, smoke. We all get buzzed off again. Okay, let's fish 60, see what they are. Big hooks and stuff. And we got like a 35-pound sea bass.
On the red crabs?
On the red crabs.
Oh, my God.
It's like, go figure, how does it happen?
Yeah.
But
that's the bait in the water. That's what everything's feeding on.
Like, that was the day you give up. You ain't going to go. They ain't going to eat the red crabs. When you said, I go, oh, God, you got to think, though. You got to have the right whatever it is to know it, you know.
And Nick, you're the kind of guy. Whenever I call you, you're concerned about what's biting, but not really. You just want to go fishing, right?
Yeah.
Me too.
You know, to me, I consider the ocean literally as my lifesaver. I mean, that's how deep.
Lifesaver.
Yeah, that's how deep it hits home.
Yeah.
You know, if it wasn't for the ocean, I'd probably be in prison for life.
Really? Seriously?
Or dead somewhere.
Yeah.
Easily.
The thing too, like on a boat, you learn so many things like you never would have thought of. Like I tell guys that I work with now, I said, pretend you're on a boat and you're sinking, and your head's underwater. Can you fix it or not? Are you going to drown or are you going to make it?
Right.
They're like, well, I have to use my brain and actually try. Yeah.
And
just
you know,
at least try.
Yes, I've given my son that experience. How many times, Philip, have I been on a boat where I almost sank? 4 times. So
yeah.
I did that purposely to teach my son life lessons.
I'd say
he thinks that I was just fucked up and sank the boat.
I said,
you were probably drunk, right?
No, I wasn't actually. Just inept.
You got a hook in your hand. I'm going to hold your head under the water so we can figure out how to get it out. Do you want me to try to get out for you? Or you want to just stay there with a hook in your hand?
Oh my God! Speaking of that, Mike Reed one time, some guy had a hook so bad in his hand he was freaking out.
I taught him how to do it.
Actually, and Mike Reed walked down and he goes.
Eddie taught me how to do it too.
Yeah.
He goes, caught somebody's ribs,
and it came out of a magazine, Field and Life.
He pushed
Field
that.
And Stream.
He
magazine.
pushed that through, clipped off the barb, and pushed out before the guy could even say anything. And the guy looks and he goes, "You okay?"
Yeah. But now there's a better
unbelievable.
way.
Yeah, I know with the fishing
with
line.
the line behind the barb.
And Field and Stream, is that it? The magazine?
Yeah, Field and Stream.
Well, they have, you know how they always have that article at the very end on what to do. Well, the dog got a hook in his paw, so you can't push it through. It's too hard. So what you do, they have one person hold the dog's hand, not the paw, and then you take the eye of the hook and use like needle nose pliers and push it in a downwards direction. So here's the barb in there. You want to push it down like that. So the hook's here, you're pushing it. Oh no, you're pushing it up.
Yeah.
So the barb digs in this way, but it lifts and holds on to a chunk of meat that way. So you take the hook, say the hook's in here like this, you push the eye of the hook down here and hold it with a needle nose pliers on the eye of the hook. Figure out some way to do that.
Right.
So then you take a piece of monofilament line, heavy line, 80-pound test, and you wrap it on the round part of the hook, and you push down, pull up, and it comes out.
Steve Virtue did that. Philip and I think it was you and I, right? On the Pacific Island or one of the Channel Island boats.
We're fishing,
boom. Just amazing.
We're fishing Lake Irvine, and you know how you troll right by the dam and stuff?
Yeah.
And Lee was on the boat. You know, Lee was with me, and you hear this, oh!
Lee, Larry's brother?
No, Lee, my
oh, yeah.
You hear this guy going, oh! I'm going, man, something's wrong. Somebody's hurting over there, you know? And you see a guy down in his boat, and he's got 4 treble hooks, all 4 treble hooks from a Rapala on him.
Oh my God!
So I said I'm gonna cut your Rapala and I'm gonna get each hook out for you. You know. He goes, what do you mean? I said, I'll get them out for you. So one by one, 4 Rapalas hooks. Boop 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 boop. He's like, you just saved my life. I can't believe this, dude. I want to go fishing. Are you good? I gotta get out of here. Well, no, you gotta have a few beers with me and stuff. No, I just want to go fishing. Are you okay? Fine. You know, it's just
amazing.
Like, it's just like, I want to catch trout.
Well, boys, I hate to say this, and I hate to do this, but we have to wrap this up. But we are going to have to do this again. Nick, in closing, what would you like to say? I mean, your story is a great story. It's about how fishing, how Eddie.
You almost made me start crying, man.
Hey, what I'd wrap it up with, and Eddie just kind of touched on this right now, is you learn a lot, right? I think more than just learning a lot of being on the water, right? It could be surf, it could be boat, it could be jetty, it could be rocks, it could be anywhere, lake, stream, river, current, right? Anywhere there's water, direction. Right? I think the more in-depth thing you learn is people.
Yeah.
And that's what really takes you a long way, man. Is you and we just talked about this right now outside on the dock. You know, you start to really see what people are on the inside. Yeah. And that's that's what goes and carries on with you through life, and you could share that. You could plant that seed into someone else. So
just like Eddie planted it in you.
Exactly.
And you've helped me with some people. We won't mention any names or anything, but there's been some people headed in the wrong direction. You've helped me straighten them out.
Yeah. I think that's the most valuable lesson is you learn people. And just recently, the people. I mean, during this world right now in 2020 is chaos, right? We all know this whole COVID thing, right? But there's people that are opening up tackle shops, and you know, people that are just starting businesses, and that to me goes to show how dedicated some people are, and the lengths that they're willing to go to say, you know, I'm at the point of no return right now, so I'm going to give it everything that I got.
Excellent. So, Eddie, to wrap it up, is there anything, this is a really silly question, anything you love more than fishing? I mean, you're obviously your family and everything else, but how much does it mean to you?
And I can't explain it. That's what's so strange about it. You know, I can't divine what it is. I can't tell you what the feeling is, but man, it's just like everything's better.
Yeah.
And you could be catching a trout, a marlin. Like you said, Eddie, why are you down here catching these little perch?
Right.
Exactly.
I love it. I don't know why. I can't explain it why.
The tug is my drug.
Yep. And you know, I think the biggest thing too is you pay your dues so many times that those 20 bad trips, that one trip just flips everything.
Right.
Yep.
And I mean, and like people losing fish, I always tell a guy, how many fish did you catch? How big was it? Do you remember it? Nah, I don't really remember. How about that one you lost? Yeah, man, I pulling that fish for 3 hours and he busted me off. I'll never forget that fish. And my last story, we had a tuna on we were fishing Port Vallarta. We're catching 100 to 150 pounders, right? So we're getting too close. We got to move. We got to get out of here. So I'm on a fish for about an hour, about 180 pounder. I wind him in. I'm watching the deckhand fighting a fish for my other buddy. So my buddy was on a fish for an hour. The cook was on it for 2 hours.
Jeez.
They hand me the rod. I'm exhausted, but I ain't turning it down, right? So I got a fish on a 30, and those King Kong sticks, you know, them rodders, you know.
Yeah.
I'm pulling on the fish. I'm pulling on the fish. And right when I'm pulling on it, Warren says, Eddie, I got to get a picture of this. I'm like, dude, come on. No, I got to get a picture. So I have a picture on my mantelpiece. And I'm pulling on this fish. I got shorts on. My shirt's soaking wet. The sun's falling down. The clouds are just everywhere. My rod, you know those what do they call those rods? Those rail rods? They don't bend, right? This rod is bent over like a U shape.
Yeah,
I'm pulling so hard, you know.
A bent butt.
Oh, I think I've seen that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, not a bent butt, a rail rod.
Oh, got
that don't bend.
Got you.
You know, the tips like that on them.
Yeah.
So I'm pulling on this fish, you know, and he goes, yeah, you got to get a picture of this. And like the sweat's coming off my shirt, my shorts, and I got my boots on. It looks stupid, but it looks good, you know.
Yeah.
So we get the fish close, you know, and I'm pulling on. All of a sudden, boom! I'm like, what the hell is that? We're so shallow. The elephant was hitting the bottom, and then he'd run out.
Oh my God.
Well, he did this about 3 times. So finally, I'm getting up. He goes, Ed, it was the accurate reel. It goes LMNOP, and I think when you get around P, it's like 35, 40 pounds of pressure on it, you know. And I go, I'm going to bust him off. He goes, Ed, we can't stay anymore. Pull on this as hard as you can. I get him up. I get him just like right where you can see him. And we caught 200 pounders. So I know it's about 220, 230, right in that zone. I get him up, and son of a bitch, the generator shuts off. All the lights turn out. Now, so I don't know if he turned it off because we were too close where we shouldn't be or whatever happened. The fish came straight up and like almost hit the grail and broke, and they weren't going to gaff it because they couldn't see. But you see this big whoosh, and it's like the iridescence of the water just like flashes out like that. And I can still see that fish going belly up like that, and I get done, and I'm like, you know what? I'll never forget this day, and I'm glad that fish got away because we have plenty of fish. And that's when I learned. I was like, don't worry about a fish you lose.
It's the memory.
It could have been murder.
All right. Hey, we are going to have to do this again. Eddie, thank you. Nick, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Great time. Friedman Adventures, Instagram, Facebook. Don't forget to check out Bass Bros also. Those boys of mine are doing some great podcasts.
Yeah.
And we'll see you back here on Friedman Adventures again really soon.